Hello, folks. Jim Voss coming to you from high above my garage in Aiken, South Carolina, with, I think, the 15th episode of Just My Opinion. I don't think that tonight is just my opinion. I think I can speak for most taxpayers. You know, ever since we were born, we've always been taught to color inside the lines. Get it right. Do your best. Be a productive member of society. But do your very best to, even things out for mankind. At your job, after you're trained, you're expected to do your very best for the company. You're expected to do your very best in your marriage for your spouse. You're expected to do your very best at church, your very best at your civic organizations. It's always expected of us. Why do we not expect that of our federal government? It's a curious question. Why have we become satisfied with mediocrity? I don't even think the federal government's close to being mediocre, much less get a passing grade of a D- in the way they do things. I remember a long time ago, Ross Perot said this, and I like Ross Perot. I was the first businessman I wanted to be president. He was worth $5 billion, billion with a B. He said, if I ran my company the way the government runs the government, I'd be broke in a week. Makes sense. These elected officials, these thieves with a license to steal, once elected, don't seem to have an idea of what fiscal responsibility is. They're good at spending our money, but they never ask for our permission to spend our money, not their money, our money. And they spend it, as I showed you in, I think, podcast 12 or 11. Hookers for Jesus, remember that one? Your tax dollars at work. How we wasted over $2 trillion in just 1 year. And this has been going on for a long, long time. If we had 10 years of that money back, we could cut the deficit by paying back Social Security by 2/3, 66%. But no, we want to study how the ants move grains of sand out of their little ant hole. We want to give money to prostitutes in Ethiopia. We want to give money to study how the owl shits in his own territory and region. Millions of dollars for anything you can dream up. I'm going to get some of that money. I'm going to get me a grant. I'm going to find me a grant writer. You know, you can't get a grant without a grant writer. But I'm going to find me a grant writer that knows what he's doing, and I'm going to get me some of that money. If they can finance prostitutes, hell, they can finance old Jimbo. Let me give you a good example. The post office. The post office runs between a $400 and $600 million deficit every year. They're given a budget. It's not like when we get our paycheck. Let's say we get our paycheck, and after everything comes out, if they get done stealing it all from us, let's say we bring home $400. Well, you got rent, you got car payments, you got insurance, you got food, you got gas money. Oh, God, gas money. But when that $400 is gone, Jack, it's gone. Either you're going to cut back on the food, you're going to cut back on the running around in your vehicle, you're going to cut back somewhere to ease that $400 under the wire at the finish of the race. Not so. Not in the government. Not a problem. We will just simply go and borrow money. I worked on a nuclear installation for 13 years, and I talked to union people there, replacing pipes and wiring and all kinds of stuff. And they told me, when I watched them take all day long to cut two 12-inch pieces of conduit, two 12-inch pieces of conduit, and the pipe that it was going to go through, and it took 8 full hours of 2 people working at what, $25, $27 an hour? I don't know. And I said, I don't understand why you don't pick up the pace. And he said, well, you don't understand. We're spending last year's money. And if we don't have a budget overrun, we don't get an increase for next year. This 10 years ago, 20 years ago, was rampant at Savannah Riverside, and I do mean rampant. Working a place called Brass Alley, guy comes in with a entire lowboy full of $100,000 worth of plywood. The kind of plywood now that costs $100 a sheet. And I said, where are you taking this? And where are you taking it inside? Okay, fine. They take it inside the compound, and they come right back out. Now, understand, Brass Alley has no nuclear material there. And I'll say, where are you going? Going to the burn yard. What for? This wood is now irradiated. How? There's no radiation in this area. That's in the contract. We have to use up, no matter how, so much wood per year, or we don't get that allotment for next year. Next week, same kind of truck, different driver. The entire truck is laden with railroad ties, expensive new railroad ties. Same thing. He drives them in, goes around the compound, comes back out. I ask him, where are you going now? I'm going to take these to the burn pile. Why? They're irradiated. Same thing as the plywood. We have to use up so much railroad ties per year, or we don't get the allotment for that next year. Your tax dollars at work. An entire lowboy full of railroad ties. They conned me into being the MIAC officer for my area, and I'm not going to tell the area because I don't want to get anybody in real trouble. The MIAC officer is an idiot like me, red badge or yellow badge, who basically rubber stamps the work that DuPont and Westinghouse used to do. Now, I'm going to name off a few items, and you should know these. A hasp. That's the circular latch with the little metal flap that closes, and then you put the lock in there. This is not considering the lock. This is a hasp that you buy for $1.75 at Walmart, and you put in 3 holes, and you can install it yourself. If you're anywhere between severely and profoundly retarded, you can get this thing done. $727 to put a hasp, no lock, just that $1.75 hasp on a door. Your tax dollars at work. Had a commode to over. Now, I had to sign off on that. In other words, they came out and they put a hasp on a door, and they ran the bill through me, who was nothing more than an idiot with a rubber stamp, who said, yeah, they did this work. And so the government would have to reimburse DuPont, which was horrible about it. DuPont or Westinghouse, which wasn't any better. Do you know what a flush valve is for a commode? That's that little doohickey in the back that allows the water to come in when you flush it. The water goes into the bowl, flushes the crap down, refills. That's a water valve. You buy them at Walmart all day long for $9.95. Complete kit. Complete kit. But when it comes from the government, a complete kit to change out a commode, $1,135. $1,135 to replace a $9.95 flush valve. The front of a building, approximately 20 feet high and 30 feet across. The entranceway to one of the areas that I worked in. 1 coat of paint. Nothing else, just the face, a facelift. Just the face of the building painted. Just the face of the building painted. Probably 4 gallons of paint. $9,000. $9,000 to roller paint the front of a building so it looks nicer. $9,000. After a while, I could kind of see Congressman Dingell. He's dead now, but a long time ago, he was the head of the, I think one of the Joint Chiefs of Service or something like that. Anyhow, he said he was tired as hell of these government sites wasting so much money. So I kind of saw the writing that was going to be on the wall. So I abdicated the throne, and I quit being the MIAC officer. In other words, I refused to sign for that crap anymore. So Nassau can have its $500 hammers and $2,500 commodes, and I can match that with a flush valve. The waste is beyond belief. The amount of money that is wasted every year just to keep that contract. There's a major problem in that we have become an addict to that DOE money because it puts a couple of $1 billion into Aiken and the CSRA area. And so we sell our souls for that. This is my concern. Why do we enjoy screwing ourselves? And why do we allow these so-called elected officials to continue to aid us in this process of screwing ourselves. I don't think the federal government's got it right, my God, in probably the last 100 years. The federal government can screw up a one-car funeral. Trust me. They can. It's always a cost overrun. They bid on these contracts and they always have a cost overrun, of which we, the taxpayer, just pick up. I had a friend of mine who got the fencing for one of the areas around the plant. He put in what he thought was a fair bid. The person on the other end contacted him and said, "We're going to turn this bid down." And he said, "Why?" I thought it was a fair bid. He said, "It's not high enough." You can't make this shit up. It's not high enough. We need for it to be much higher. So he changed the bid and made extremely good money on what he would have made when he said, "I think it's a fair bid." The government expects to go in the hole. We aren't. From the minute we're born, we expect to color within the lines, be productive, stay on schedule, and don't go in the hole. The federal government cannot take over any project without screwing it up. So many. I'll give you a prime example, and that's me. I am owed $6,300 from the federal government on my income tax for the year 2019. That's 3 years ago. They owe me $6,300. They won't talk to you about it. They will tell you, they will lie to you and tell you that they are making progress. But don't expect anything soon. I have received one letter in 3 years from the IRS saying that they are working on my case. During COVID, they let 8 million cases go backlogged. And now, I don't understand. Even with additional workers that were given to them, I've still not received a letter to say we've made progress. Expect your return to be done somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month. 2 months. I don't care. But tell me something, because I'm not your favorite mushroom. I don't mind the dark. I like getting fed. I don't like getting fed shit, which is what the federal government does. Now, the federal government says we acknowledge the fact that we owe you over $6,000. Just hang on. Bide your time. Borrow money from somewhere else if you need it. We're not going to reimburse you for that, but borrow from family, borrow from the bank, borrow from somebody. But now, if I owe them $6,300 from 3 years ago, I would already have a lien on my house, my car, my properties, and 2 of my kids, more than likely. To us who need that money, it's an emergency. It's not an emergency to the federal government. They can give a rat's furry ass less. But when we owe them money, it's a catastrophic emergency. You better pay that shit back, or we ain't going to be able to crank out any more Social Security checks for Grandma and Grandpa. This has been mostly rants and raves, but I'm just telling you. If so much is expected of us as an American, why can't we expect the same thing from our government? Why can't we expect them to be on time, as Donald used to say, on time, under budget? There's some dignity and respect for the taxpayer's dollar. Damn, I wish we had Donald Trump back. I ain't kidding you. Miss him? Oh, hell yeah. Look over my shoulder. I guarantee you that, you know, it is. There we go. Yes, miss him like hell. Tell me how that we were living in a 4,000 square foot nice home with a pool. We were driving the new Cadillac. We had stocks, we had bonds, we had money in our savings. We were looking at buying a lake house. And because of the lies of the media, and because Donald Trump was so mean with his tweets, oh my God, of the United States of the waiting to be friggin' offended, we gave all that up for a single wide in the woods with an ox cart. Saw that t-shirt? Do you miss me yet? Hell yeah. Where are we on the world stage now? We're the laughing stock of the entire world. Krusty the Clown can't even go to the other side of the world to talk to anyone without falling asleep, without being laughed at, because I don't know who his interpreter is, but I feel sorry for that poor bastard. I don't know how you do mumble in sign language, but that's, oh my God. I wouldn't send the Mambo Queen, the horizontal Mambo Queen, I wouldn't send her to a pig parlor opening outside of the city limits to give the keynote address. And she's thinking about running for president. Let me tell you what. The Dominican Republic is still calling me. I still have a bid in on land. And if either one of those dumb son of a bitches wins and they say it's fair and legal, I'm gone. You can have all this bullshit. You can be woke all you want to be woke up. You can have people tell you that you're stupid, too stupid to understand when something is stolen from you. And I want to say pussy whipped, so I'll say it. Too pussy whipped to get angry about someone taking away the rights that our vets have fought and died and bled for, to pay the bill on this Constitution that we supposedly live by, that the Democrats want to shred up and the liberals want to make it a living document. So it's fluid. It's not a living document. It's not fluid. It's straightforward. It says what it says. It means what it means. It's much like the Bible. Don't screw with it. It says what it says, and it means what it means. Is it too much to ask the federal government to just once? Listen up here. All you worthless mofos that are in D.C. right now, could you once, just once, get it right? Get it right. Treat us with some respect out here. Take care of my tax money and quit spending it on worthless programs. You can bring down this deficit, but not with Krusty the Clown in office, and not with the horizontal Mambo Queen in the back room trying to earn another Mercedes. How the hell did we end up with this cavalcade of clowns is beyond me. The American people can believe whatever they want to believe. Oh, now it's just not politically correct to say that the election was stolen. Well, let me tell you what, I've been in politics before, and when you set up a meeting and you get 10 people, 10's all you can get, and your opponent gives an hour notice and gets 10,000 people, it's bullshit when you stand up and say, I won the election. I remember old Richard Nixon, I am not a crook. Bullshit, you're all crooks. Anyhow, this is Atop the Garage. Jim Voss. I believe that there's more than just my opinion out there. I love you. Let's go get a beer. Give me some likes. Give me something. Give me a hot dog. Take care of yourself. I love you. Bye-bye.